Greetings, everybody. It's RPG Grandma, and I'm back with Alpha Dawn Expanded Rules. This is the basic rules in the TV book. This is the expanded rules. A lot more book, but not tomes. All right. So the next thing I want to cover in the expanded rules is ability checks and what the book tells us. So just gonna read it. During Star Frontiers games, players will want their characters to try doing many different things. It would be impossible to state the rules covering every possibility. Instead, the section describes a very simple rule that can be used in almost any situation. I'm going to pause right there. This is true. There have been a few role-playing games who have tried to make rules for everything, but it's not doable. People, including game designers, can't think of everything, and then you have to remember all those rules. There's been a few games that have tried. Can be a bit too much for everybody involved. So back to the book. When a character tries to do something that is not covered by a specific rule, the referee should decide whether the action is something the character can do automatically or if there's a chance the character might fail. If the action is not something the character can do automatically, then the character must make an ability check. The referee decides which of the character's abilities is most important to perform this or that action. The player rolls a D100, and if the result is equal to or less than the ability score the referee chose, then the character succeeded at whatever he's trying to do. So I'm going to stop right there. You guys should be familiar with this if you played any tabletop role-playing games. Most games characters have some kind of ability skills. And when in doubt, this is what we do. Sometimes these rolls are made too often, though. And if the players are doing things that would cause them to have a positive result, you should probably make it automatic. Or at least give them a really, really good modifier so that their chance of success, they may not know it, but their chance of success has gone up. Different games use different systems. This one is using very easy to understand system. Automatic is you have a 100% chance to succeed. You don't really need to roll. You're going to succeed. Everything is done by percentages. You have a 50% chance. It's 50-50. They might be able to pull that off. 25% chance of success, 30% chance of success. And that's how it's looking at it. The ability scores allow the player to know what their chance of success is. You got a 30% chance of success. But you're going to do it because you need to do it. And this is how this game is played. And that's why it's equal to or under. Example. A character who is alone in a room can easily pick up a gun from the floor. However, if he tries to grab the gun from the floor while being chased through the room, he could miss it or drop it. In this case, the character should make a dexterity check to grab the gun. So this is a straight dexterity check, no modifier. It assumes you're trying to do something that is just naturally more difficult to do. Modifiers. The referee can decide an action is easier or harder than average because of an unusual situation. When this happens, the referee can tell the player to adjust his character's ability score by adding or subtracting a number, having the ability check easier or harder to pass. Most modifiers should not be more than plus or minus 30. So if you played D&D and you're going, that's a lot. It is. If you understand the 20-sided dice is actually a percentile dice that runs on 5%. 1 is 5%, 2 is 10%, 3 is 15%, and so on, till you get to 00, which is 100%. So this is a +6 modifier in D&D terms, is what they're talking about. Just throwing that in there for the people who played D&D or D&D type games, and you're not used to D100. All right. And this is how you can think about these different game mechanical systems. It all comes down to math. And once you start to really understand the math and comprehend things, it gets less mysterious. Example: a group of characters is using a rope and spikes to climb a cliff. One of the upper characters knocks loose several rocks. Uh-oh. The referee decides the next character on the rope must make a reaction speed check to dodge the falling rocks. He has decided that because the character is hanging on a rope, his reaction speed should be lowered by 20 for this ability check. The character's reaction speed is 55. Subtracting 20 gives him a modification reaction speed of 35. If the player rolls 35 or less on the D100, the character avoids the rocks. Now, one of the good reasons to read through all these rules like this is you also start to learn, like, if in the future characters are hanging on a rope and another character or somebody knocks rocks off, you know what to check, and you know that you should probably be applying a modifier not in the PC's favor. Secret checks. Oh, yes. Secret checks were very common back in the day. Now they're kind of out of fashion. But let's talk about it. If knowing the result of an ability check roll would tell a player something his character would not know, the referee should make the check secretly and tell the player only what his character sees or what happens to the character. Example: a group of characters are traveling across the unexplored planet. Their explorer was destroyed in a rock slide, and a group of native bandits stole most of their equipment. They need water, but the water in the pond they just found looks bright blue. One of the characters volunteers to taste it. The referee knows the water contains microscopic plants that will make the character sick 20 hours after drinking the water. If the character fails a stamina check, he rolls the check secretly, and the character fails. The referee tells the player the water tastes a little strange, but it doesn't seem to be affecting you at all. 20 hours later, however, the character will become sick. And of course, if everybody else drank out of that water, they're all going, could become sick if they don't make their save, basically. So secret checks are a thing. They definitely have their place in even today's games. They have all kinds of uses. Ability uses. All 8 character abilities are listed below, along with typical actions that would require an ability check against that ability. Strength. Strength determines a character's chance to break open doors, bend metal, shift heavy objects, or anything else requiring brute force. Stamina. A character's stamina score is the number of points of damage a character can take before being killed. It is the character's percent chance to resist the effects of poison, gas, drugs, disease, extreme heat or cold, starvation, and fatigue. Dexterity. A character's dexterity score determines his base chance to hit in combat. It also is his percent chance to sense things by touch, throw or catch an object, keep his balance, jump into a moving vehicle, or perform delicate actions like cutting a wire without touching any surrounding wires. Reaction speed. A character's reaction speed score is his percent chance to react quickly, to avoid falling rocks, to catch something he knocked over before it hits the floor, to jump away from a skimmer that is racing toward him, to grab an animal, or to dive through a door before it slams shut. Intuition. A character's intuition score, I think I've been calling it intelligence. I'm sorry, guys, it's intuition. Is his percent chance to notice small details or hidden objects, to sense an ambush or trap, and at the referee's discretion to make sense out of seemingly unrelated illogical facts. When a character passes an intuition check, the referee should tell the player that he notices something unusual and describes what the character sees or hears, smells, feels, or tastes. The player must decide what to do with this information. Referees should urge the players to figure out puzzles on their own. Intuition checks should not be allowed until after the player has tried and failed to solve a puzzle themselves. People jump to ability checks too quick sometimes, especially in the mental area. Logic. A character's logic score is his percent chance to follow complicated instructions, to figure out the best way to do something he has never done before, or use something he is not familiar with, and to make accurate predictions from facts. The referee should roll logic checks secretly. If a character fails a check, the referee will tell him either that he does not understand whatever he was studying or can give him false information. A character's logic score can be modified by the complexity of the situation and the amount of time a character spends studying it. The referee should encourage players to draw their own conclusions from information, like intuition. Logic checks should be the last resort. Personality. Personality affects how likely a character is to get a friendly response from a stranger and how long he can hold someone's attention. The referee should encourage players to role play their attempts to use personality and talk to NPCs. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Deervale, Dreevale, the Vrusk, has just insulted a Gorlorian thug by accidentally spilling a drink on him. The Gorlilian is very mad. Dreevale decides to try talking his way out of the situation. Oops, pardon me, my good fellow. How absolutely clumsy of me. The player says, here, let me buy you a drink and let's forget about it. Dreevale's personality score is 40. The referee notes that the Gorlorian is mad and wet and itching for a fight. He tells Dreevale to subtract 20 from his score. Dreevale rolls 91. This is greater than his modified score of 20. The Gorlilian punches Dreevale. Leadership. A character's leadership score reflects his ability to command with authority and have NPCs obey his orders. Leadership checks are needed only if the character orders an NPC to do something dangerous or has mistreated the NPCs. Under normal conditions, NPCs who work for a character will always obey that character. If characters try to give orders to strangers, the referee must decide how likely a stranger is to obey. Leadership also is used to bargain with NPCs. Referees should not let characters with high leadership scores trade junk for valuable merchandise. But a successful leadership check will get a better deal for the character or convince reluctant NPCs to deal with the character. Characters can bargain for information as well as merchandise. More information about the effects of leadership on NPCs can be found in the section on NPCs. All right. So, sorry I'm stuttering today a bit. I'm kind of cold. For those of you who are wondering what a Gorlian, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. I know I am. I cannot talk today. But at any rate, it was one of those races that was never, or things that was never well defined in the game. So a race was created and put into one of the fan magazines. You could just say it's a planet somewhere, but actually we did create a race. So I'll have to keep doing Star Frontier stuff and put out there. I do apologize. The abbreviation for intelligence and intuition is the same, and I've been doing a lot of D&D recently, so when I've been looking at abbreviations, I think I've been saying intelligence, and I know it's not that. It's intuition, because logic in here works more like the intelligence score, and intuition I would think is more like the wisdom score. Leadership and personality are really the two things that we see in D&D. Would be the one thing, charisma, and in D&D, of course, strength is the same. Stamina covers both hit points and constitution, and then we only have dexterity in D&D. There are some games that came out of D&D that actually have things like reaction speed. So when you look at this is a really good way to break things down. And it works. It works. And you can improve these ability scores. So we're going to do skills next. And, well, actually, let's talk about improving the characters. And then I'll do skills in another video. Characters can increase their ability scores and racial abilities and gain skills through adventuring. A character's adventure, they learn from their experiences and improve themselves through practice. In Star Frontier's game, this type of experience is recorded with experience points. The referee hands out experience points at the end of the adventure to reward characters' performance as a success. If a character performed beyond expectations of his employer, he will receive more experience. If he failed miserably at a task, he will receive less experience. Improving abilities. Players can increase their character's ability score by trading 1 XP to raise the ability score to 1 point. I think I mentioned this before. No ability score can be raised above 100. Example, Rex Dexter earned 5 XP. In his latest adventure, the player decides to spend 3 XP in raising Rex's logic score from 50 to 53, and 2 points increasing his personality from 65 to 67. Certain racial abilities, lie detection, comprehension, and battle rage, also can be increased by trading 1 XP to increase the ability 1 point. Racial abilities cannot be raised above 100. Obviously, increasing a character's ability score will improve his chances to perform special actions, will improve his chances to hit in combat by increasing dexterity, and will increase his chances to survive by increasing his stamina. Raising ability scores also can replace points lost permanently to disease or tissue deterioration in freeze field. So XP is a resource in this game. You earn it, you spend it. And that's how you get better. And you can thus very quickly customize characters. You adventure, you earn the XP, you put the XP where you want it to go. And you got skills, and you can spend XP there too. So, in a lot of ways, this allows you to make really interesting characters. And you don't have level 1, level 2, level 3, you don't have any of that. You do have increasing your abilities, improving your skills, which is the closest thing you're going to get to levels and learning new skills. I hope this was helpful. Next video, we will conquer skills. I will tell you about improving the skills, though. Characters can learn skills which allow them to perform special action. Each skill has 6 levels of expertise. The character can raise his skill levels by spending experience points. Experience points can be traded to gain a level 1 skill or to increase a skill the character already has to the next level. The number of XPs that must be traded for each skill and skill level is described in the skill sections. So, there you go. Next one we'll do is skills. And I hope you guys are finding this interesting. You know, it's an old book. I'm opening it the right way. I know I'm making people twitch. The books are pretty well used, and at some point I'm going to have to rebind them. And that's just the reality. So, with like a sewing needle. These aren't too bad, but this one I think is might be in a little bit worse shape. But at any rate, everybody have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll keep making more. And we'll get through Star Frontiers, and we will explore the things that were created for Star Frontiers by fans as well, because there's some really cool things out there that people came up with, like surgeries for Duralicites so they can see in color. Things like that. Cool things that if you wanted to play a Star Frontiers game, you could modernize it, and you could really run with it. There's even briefings on planets that completely contradict each other because different DMs, different referees came up with those planet scenarios. What they thought the planet would be like, because we only have some limited information, which we'll eventually get to. Anyway, everybody have a great day. Stay awesome. Keep on rolling them dice. Keep on role-playing those characters and having fun. Have fun. Bye.